Hello, good evening, everyone. Can anyone hear me? Hello?
This is Jeffrey. I can hear you.
Hello? Is anybody there? Hello,
This
good
is
evening,
Jeffrey.
everyone.
I can hear you.
I want to be sure that you all are hearing
Yes,
me before
yes,
I
we can hear you.
proceed.
Please, Debbie, open your camera. Open your camera.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Deborah Awodisi, and it's really nice and you all right here. Welcome once again to Borderless Wealth Global Investment Summit. And I'm going to be introducing our next speaker. Our next speaker is a very passionate man. He's going to be giving us some strategies, knowledge about property industry all the way from Dubai and Qatar. So our next speaker is known, his name is Mr. Jeffrey. Sorry, I want to get his name is Mr. Jeffrey Nelson Park, all the way from Dubai. He's passionate about empowering investors, entrepreneurs, professionals with knowledge and the strategies needed to thrive in the property industry. Through his work, he has helped many people see real estate not just as a property, but as a powerful tool for financial growth and legacy building. Today, we are privileged to have him share his knowledge and experience with us at this summit. He shared some yesterday, and today is the final day. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Jeffrey Nelson Park to this wonderful summit. It's so good to have you here, sir.
Thank you very much. Just want to double check you can hear me as well.
I think your mic is mute. I can't
Okay,
hear
it
you.
shouldn't be. Let me switch this 1 second. Can you hear me now?
Oh, we can hear you, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Okay,
So good to have
perfect.
you. Yes, sir.
So, okay, that's perfect. Thank you. So,
Yes, sir.
if one of our colleagues could pull up the slide presentation, the one we used yesterday, we'll use for today as well. Perfect. We can go to the first slide. That's perfect. Thank you. Maybe just we could zoom in more into the slide itself. That'd be really helpful. Hang on 1 second. Okay. So thank you again. It's a pleasure to be back with you again today. What I'd like to suggest at the beginning is is that the intention is that this is that it's interactive. So if anyone has any questions at all, I would feel free to pop it in the chat. I have the ability to see the chat on my screen. I can pick up any questions as we go along. To make this really worthwhile for everybody that's attending. So no need to wait to the end. If at any time you have questions, feel free to do it. So in yesterday's session, I predominantly focused on the UAE and Dubai in particular, and today I'm going to focus on Qatar. And Qatar actually happens to be where I am at the moment. I share my time between Qatar and Dubai. I sort of live in both, but I really probably actually spend more time in Qatar. So I'll just give you a bit of background on myself and my company and what we do. So again, my name is Jeffrey. It's actually Jeffrey Asselstein. My company name is Nelson Power Property. I'm the managing director. It's a real estate brokerage and advisory firm based here in Doha. So for the last, basically we're in our 17th year now. So the past 17 years, I've worked closely with international investors, looking at opportunities across the GCC, and Qatar is a market that is often underappreciated. Dubai is much, much more well known. Dubai gets a lot more attention for a lot of reasons. Much bigger market, but Qatar is the market where I live, although I span both, and this is what I really want to talk about today. So what I'd like to share today are a few perspectives on the broader investment market, broader investment environment in Qatar itself, and how the real estate market has evolved over the past several years, and where I believe the key opportunities are for investors looking at the country today. So on the slides themselves, we'll leave the slide as it is for a while. I'll just do some opening points. So if I look at the slides, if I talk about Qatar, the slides talk a lot comparisons between Dubai and Qatar, but I'm going to focus really on Qatar today. So let me just bring something up on the screen here. So I want to talk about, well, actually, let me just deal with the elephant in the room, being the current situation that we have right now in the Middle East, and the GCC particularly across all Gulf countries. If I look across the Gulf countries right now, it's obviously a very unstable time. This current situation started about 2 weeks ago. In fact, started exactly 2 weeks ago today. But prior to that, Qatar, Dubai in particular, have had blissful periods for, I've been living in the Middle East for over 30 years now. I moved to Oman, first of all, in 1994. So we've had my 32 years in the region has been totally peaceful without any issue. So despite the Middle East kind of reputation for issues, the Gulf countries themselves, in particular Qatar and Dubai, the whole UAE, have been peaceful throughout without incident. So this current situation is, I believe, very temporary. We all pray for peace for everyone, always. But I really believe this current situation will be over fairly quickly. So I just wanted to say that when we look at the market, we look at things on a long-term basis. And I would always encourage people to look at the market on a long-term basis. Never look at, the next week, the next day, what to do. So I'd always encourage people to look long-term. And that's what I'll ask you to do today. So when we're talking about a market that's in a current situation, we know the situation, we're not unaware of it, mainly because I live in it. So very aware of what's happening, but equally, the case I want to put forward today is why it's interesting to look at Qatar as an investment market over the long term. And this is what I'll stress consistently throughout the discussion today, is that Qatar is a long-term market. I'd say even medium to long term. So between investment periods of 3 years and up. It's not a get-rich-quick market. It never has been. If you're looking to come in, buy a property, sell it the day later, and make 20% growth, that's not going to happen. I wouldn't say it's going to grow in 20% in 1 year. But I do believe there's long-term structural opportunities. There's long-term investment benefits. And some of those I'll go through today. So when I look at Qatar itself as a country, it's one of the most stable political environments in the Middle East. The Al Thani family has ruled the country for well over a century, long before Qatar was formed in its current model. But the country is ruled as a benevolent monarchy by His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Khalid. Is an incredible emir running the country in a very amazing way, very efficient way, very stable way, and very proud to be part of that. And when I look at Qatar particularly, the Qatar itself is one of the wealthiest countries in the world. In fact, I'm not sure if it's number one. It certainly has been number one for a lot of the time that I've been here. The last 20 years I've lived in Doha. It's been the number one wealthiest country by GDP per capita. Continues to rank, if not number one, then certainly in the top 1 to 3 off the top of my head. It's driven largely by its natural gas industry and the continued expansion of LNG, or liquefied natural gas production. The amount of natural gas that Qatar has access to is over 300 years remaining of natural gas. That's an amazing long-term prognosis for the country when they have over 300 years of gas left. That gives a lot of comfort, a lot of strength, a lot of stability to the fundamentals of the country to underpin everything that happens here. And along with that, not just is there great gas wealth that really benefits the country, there's excellent strategic long-term vision. So the government has a long-term vision called Qatar National Vision 2030. and it focuses on diversifying the economy. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Diversifying the economy beyond hydrocarbons, in other words, beyond oil and gas, and significant investment into infrastructure, tourism, finance, and of course, real estate. And this is what we see. We've seen this for the last 20 years that we've been here. So when I look at what have we seen development-wise, obviously you'd be very familiar that just 4 short years ago, we hosted the World Cup in 2022. It's viewed by many, despite the many detractors in the lead up to the World Cup, it's viewed to be the best hosted World Cup ever. By having all these stadiums within driving distance of each other, people were able to see 2 to sometimes 3 games a day. And actually, it was technically possible to see every match of the World Cup, which is unprecedented. It won't happen again. It's certainly not going to happen this year when it's between Canada, US, and Mexico. No way could you get to every game. But in Qatar, that's what happened. It was run extremely well, very efficiently. And we were blessed with an incredible final between Argentina and France that none of us will ever forget. So if I look at why I bring up the World Cup, even though it's 4 years ago, what the World Cup granting to Qatar that was done 12 years before the actual event is it was the catalyst for massive infrastructure investment. So over the 12 years leading up to the World Cup, and particularly the last 6 to 8 years prior, there's been huge investment in the Doha metro system, Hamad International Airport, Lusail City, new commercial districts, the road network. All that work has been done, completed on time, and delivered to an incredible high quality, which creates long-term value for the country and therefore long-term value for property investors. And that's something that really encourages me as we look at our business. And so we're also looking at the market. We're looking at what's the status for foreigners. So as in most Gulf countries, for years, foreigners were not allowed to buy real estate. That changed, and again, about 20 years ago in Qatar, actually a bit longer than that, but for at least 20 years, foreigners have been able to buy real estate in Qatar in specific areas, but the areas themselves are large with lots of opportunities. So foreigners can buy property here in Qatar. They can own it as a freehold basis, as a leasehold basis, and through that, they can get residency permit. So from the small amount of $200,000 value of a property, they can get the right to live here. So if you want to move, bring your family with you, buying a property of $200,000 or above, it gives you the right to live here as long as you own the property. And that's attractive for a lot of people because a lot of people are looking for alternatives to their current home. They're looking for alternatives from a geographic standpoint, from a tax standpoint. And so that makes it very compelling. If I look at the market, one of the biggest things, which I think when we look at Qatar compared to other countries around the world, is the gross rental yields in Qatar are between 5 to 7%. And that is exceptional. You won't get that in New York, you won't get it in Toronto, you won't get it in London, you won't get it in Paris. Other major cities around the world, you will not get those types of yields. So yields here between 5 to 7% are excellent for long-term property investors. Gives them a real chance to make a solid return on their money. And we look at some of the master plan communities. The most famous one is the Pearl Qatar. Is extremely famous. It's probably still the most favorite place for people to live that come to Doha. They're newly here. It's a new reclaimed island, but that's now been extended into Juwan Island as well, which is another section to the Pearl. Excellent shops, facilities, a short golf course, and wonderful apartments and villas that are for sale there. So great place to live, great place to shop, and to experience the best that Qatar has to offer. In addition to that, again, if you did watch the final, the stadium was in Lusail Stadium, named after another district called, again, Lusail. And this is a master plan community, huge community, with once finished will house over 200,000 people. It's a full city in itself. And again, it has theaters, restaurants, hotels, shopping malls, schools, hospitals, lots of opportunities for property, from villas to apartments to tower blocks, lots of different opportunities for people to invest and to live there. So it makes it quite an exceptional place. I personally own some property in the Pearl I mentioned earlier, and also in Lusail that have done very, very well as an investor. So it's something I would really encourage people to look at if they're considering Qatar as a market. And then it's hard not to talk about Qatar without comparing it to Dubai, and some of my slides do this. Qatar is a smaller market, as I mentioned before, but it tends to be much more stable. In other words, we may not see the big jumps in profit in value. We don't see the falls that sometimes happen in other countries. So it tends to be much, much more stable. It's a smaller market. It's less speculative. You have less, as we used to call in the banking world, less hot money that comes in and goes out. So much more stable, much more long term. And so that means you tend to get a lower capital appreciation, but that's fine because the rental income is solid, the yields are strong, and there does tend to be a reasonable long-term capital growth rate over time. And again, particularly when we have 300 years of gas remaining, it provides incredibly strong fundamentals behind the country, which is why in Qatar, there's zero personal tax. So although corporations pay tax up to 10%, individuals themselves, so any profits you make on selling property, whether it's rental income or capital gains from the sale of a property, your personal income tax rate is zero. That's impressive. It's really hard to beat zero, as I always like to say. And as a Canadian with a tax rate of between 40 to 50%, zero is very, very attractive. And I think that's something that's often mentioned in the Middle East, but often really discounted when people are looking at London or other cities. They tend not to look at the after-tax rate, and because that's a huge reality, and it's often something that people don't calculate. You know, they say, "I bought my property for £500,000. I'm selling it for £1 million. Therefore, I made £500,000." Well, technically correct at a surface level, but not totally correct when it comes down to the taxes you have to pay after the sale of that property. You buy a property for the same equivalent amount, let's say 2.5 million in reals, you sell it for 5 million, so there's similar change in price. All the gains yours, 100%. And that is a big, big factor that I think makes Qatar quite an interesting market. And the last thing, I kind of hinted at this before, but if I look at, say, the long-term growth drivers of Qatar, again, the natural gas or LNG, liquefied natural gas that's sold, the expansion of the North Field project, as it's called here, has a lot of extra revenue that will soon be driven into Qatar. Population growth is under control and tied to economic development, which is good. And increasingly international investment in tourism hotspot. We're seeing a lot more cruise ships, a lot more international travelers coming through, getting much higher publicity in the global markets. And I think you'll see that in increasing time and time again over the next number of years. Okay, so if I can ask my colleagues, if you could just pop the slides back on. If you can go to the second slide with the International Property Awards, please. And perhaps I should have said this at the beginning, but I'll just tell you again a little bit about who I am. You can feel free to zoom in on that slide. So as I mentioned, my name is Jeffrey Asselstein. I'm the founder and CEO of Nelson Park Property. We've been in business now for 17 years. We started in 2009. We're now the number one brokerage in the country. We have the best brokerage team. We have the best marketing business, and we had the best agent for the country. So it's been an excellent year for us, 2025. So in 2023, just to give you a bit of background again, we actually expanded our business into Dubai. We have a small team there. We have a large team of 40 agents in Qatar. Dubai is a much smaller animal, but we'll be growing a lot over the next few years. So when we look at Qatar itself, we have arguably the largest team in Qatar doing extremely well. We also expanded our business into valuation services. So this covers real estate, machinery, companies, any type of asset a person has, we can value it. And we do that in conjunction with our colleagues in Nelson Park Consulting. And along with, we do a lot of work for banks and insurance companies as well. So once people have bought an asset, they're looking to buy an asset, we can give them a really accurate value in the market today, which helps them do their financing and helps them with all levels of activity. And lastly, I'm the co-founder of another entity called Society International Real Estate. So again, that company actually has a headquarters in the US, but it has a local partner in Society Real Estate Qatar that serves the local market. But Society International really covers the market globally. So we have partners around the world in Asia, North America, Europe, and we're looking at some partners right now, frankly, in the northern part of Africa, specifically in Egypt, but we'd be open-minded to look at other projects in the future. Okay, so if we can just go to the next slide, please. I appreciate that. So again, I've kind of highlighted this earlier. So why would someone look at investing in the Middle East? Again, so the Gulf is broadening beyond hydrocarbons into finance, tourism, logistics, and services. So this is what we see. It's much more. I mean, if you look at Dubai itself, Dubai really doesn't have any oil. It has diversified away from oil incredibly over the last 30 years that I've been in the region, and even countries that have such hydrocarbon wealth like Qatar, and it's going to hold us in really good stead for decades to come. The country's wise to say, right, we don't want to have all of our eggs in one basket. We don't only rely on hydrocarbons. Let's see where we can diversify. And they've been doing that through finance, tourism, logistics, and services, as well as real estate. On the infrastructure side is another big thing. Again, large-scale business districts, transport upgrades to make the country more efficient, to make it really good to run your business in. And lastly, property ownership can sit alongside lifestyle residency and geographic diversification plans. Because if you buy a property that's more than $200,000, and frankly, it's quite hard to find a property that's less than that in Doha. There are a few, but not many. But once you buy a property that's worth $700,000, you can get a residence permit, which allows you to work here. Sorry, it doesn't allow you to work, it allows you to live here. And once you settle here, you can run your own business from here. There's many, many options that are available for you as you go along. Okay, so looking at the next slide, although I'm doing a comparison between Qatar and Dubai, excuse me, I'm really going to focus just much more on Qatar specifically, excuse me. As I mentioned before, it's a much calmer, less speculative market that's really good for long-term investors. So if you have a long-term investment horizon, you want to look at things over 3, 5 to 10 years time, I think Qatar is an excellent market. It's very, very good for long-term wealth preservation. And again, with a tax-free rate, a tax rate of 0, it's a great way to accumulate wealth because you can grow that money every year without paying any tax on the gains. Again, I mentioned before, we have freehold areas from there to expatriates, including Lusail, the Pearl, West Bay Lagoon, and other areas. And lastly, we do have residency-linked ownership, already forms part of the investor conversation. So since this all started more than 20 years ago, if you bought a property, it gives you the right to live here, and that continues to be the case. And I know the government is actively working on even enhancing that system, that to be able to get a visa to live here very quickly, and to do a lot more things once you arrive. So there's a lot of plus sides and upsides to actually investing in this market, and that's really what we're looking to see. Can you just go to the next slide, please? So just a couple of quick things. I always like to be transparent, and I always believe that all progress begins with telling the truth. So number 1, or like number 2, you see the average residential growth is a small typo there. Apologies for that. So the last year, in fact, the market was flat. There wasn't any growth, nor was there any shrinkage. So the market was pretty flat for the year, but an average gross rental yield of 5.2%. Again, I say it's on the low range. It's actually probably much higher, between 5 to 7 overall, and a population of 2.9 million. When I came here 20 years ago, the population was 700,000. So it's grown almost triple from 700,000 up to 2.9 million. Fairly robust growth. So it's 300% higher than what it was when I first moved here. And if you look at real estate, one of the key drivers is always population and population growth. And I think that's quite strong in Qatar specifically. Okay, so we look at the next slide, please. We want to compare and contrast the two markets. I'm just going to focus again on Qatar, but I might dip into Dubai a little bit. So again, if I look at income, again, selective prime apartments offer solid gross yields. This is what we're seeing. And what I find is overall, the market, again, ranges on a yield basis between 5 to 7%. The lower the price you go for the property, you tend to get higher yields, almost by definition. For the luxury end of the market, it will be lower, but there are a lot of opportunities that are above the 5.17%, showing upwards of 6, 7, and even approaching 8% gross yields. But really, 5 to 7 is the range. Again, on the capital growth side, although last year was flat, I strongly believe that once we get through this current situation, that property prices will start to grow materially, because we're seeing the countries doing things well. We're seeing that things are strong, and I fully expect that will change and improve over the next 6 months to the next year once we get through this current situation. Again, a liquidity and exit. It's a smaller market, so I always encourage people, do not try to be a flipper in Qatar. It does take a little bit longer to sell a property than it does in other countries, so you want to have a good long-term focus. Again, the volatility is low, it's much more stable, much more rational as a market, and through residency, it provides an excellent opportunity to live here, particularly with your family. So, for example, if I had this already, if I was new to Qatar and I bought a property, I'll be able to get a visa on that property, so I could live here with my spouse and my kids. They'd all get residency as part of that package. As long as the investment amount's over $200,000, you can get residency for your entire family, and something very strong to look at. So again, I think the best fit for investors, if you have a long-term view and you want wealth preservation, a zero tax rate, and stability, I think Qatar makes an extremely compelling case, to be frank. Let's move to the next slides. Just a couple of things on Qatar, particularly, again, it's a very stable market. Well, actually, I didn't really touch on this. When it says prime lifestyle districts retain demand. And I guess just what I would say is Qatar being smaller, it's a quieter market, but it's very, very, very popular with families. If you're a single guy or gal in your early 20s and you want to have a lot of fun, you can do so in Qatar. You probably have a lot more fun in Dubai. Frankly, there's a lot more opportunities for things like that, a lot more places to go, a lot more sort of life, nightlife and things, all that goes along with that. That's much more available in Dubai. We have it in Qatar, of course, but it's less. So what it really caters to is the working professional and the families. Qatar is excellent for that. I have 3 daughters. They've now all grown up out of the house, so tell you their ages. They're 28, 26, and 22, so they've all grew up in Doha, had fantastic schooling, a fantastic life. Now they're living outside of Doha, 2 in Canada and 1 actually in Abu Dhabi. But it's a great place to raise a family. And we're seeing a lot of people from overseas looking to move to Qatar just for that reason alone, because they want a nice environment for the family. It's completely safe from a crime perspective and for the markets fundamentals that we spoke of earlier. A couple of things to keep an eye on if you're looking at Qatar as an investment opportunity. Again, a smaller exit universe outside of core areas. So in other words, the market's less liquid. So you want to be careful. If you're looking to sell, it does take a bit longer than what other markets may take. So I would avoid trying to cash in and make a quick buck, get in, get out. It's much more buy and hold type of market. Unless you're going to come in and do refurbishment and put some elbow grease into things and buy a property below market, hire contractors, fix it up, and then look to sell it. Even then, the sales time, it takes a bit of time. But unless you're going to do some major refurbishment, I would look at it really as just a good, solid, long-term market that you're buying good quality projects as you go through, and that's why your deal selection matters more as you buy. Just a couple of specific opportunities to tell you about. So again, full disclosure, I'm an investor myself in Qatar, so I'm referring to 3 areas here, being Lusail, the Pearl, and Al Dafna West Bay Lagoon. So I have a couple of properties in Lusail. This is what I've been doing. So Lusail Apartments, again, has been averaging around 5 to 6%, and that's what I've seen from a yield basis. So it's gone very, very well. We always have great demands for tenants. The infrastructure in Lusail is incredible. It's really easy to get in and out. It's really easy to drive there, get access to your work. And a lot of companies now have moved themselves even to Lusail. So with the new towers being built, there'll be a lot more people working there. And I think that's only going to boost Lusail's opportunities moving forward. Secondly, if you look at the Pearl, I also own a couple of properties there. It is still the favorite market in the country. It's still the place where people really prefer to live. If they have the budget, it also tends to be the more prime markets. The prices tend to be higher, although there are some other waterfront areas of Lusail which command premium prices. But the Pearl is still the higher end part of things. Sorry, can you switch to the next slide, please? Apologies, I forgot to ask you to switch to the next slide. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I mentioned the sale, I mentioned the Pearl Waterfront. And the last one, I don't own property in Al Daphna, West Bay Lagoon, but I've lived there. So although I don't live there now, and the first 3 years in Doha, I lived in Al Daphna. Again, for large ticket investors, prime villa districts, again, low turnover, strong family demand. It's excellent for a sophisticated investor that's looking to move their family there, who's looking for a villa product to really raise their family. It's a great opportunity there that I would ask people to consider. Just moving on to the next slide. Actually, we'll skip Dubai and just look at my closing thesis, please. So one more page, please. Thank you very much. So this is my overall summary. So Qatar is a steadier, more selective play. Dubai is faster, more liquid. So the better market is not universal. It really depends on the individual. So people will always ask me, how do you compare Dubai to Qatar? And I will always say, you can't compare Dubai to any market. I've never seen a market like it in my life. You can't compare it to Qatar. You can't compare it to London, Toronto, New York, Montreal, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Singapore. I've never seen a market like it with the opportunities that are there. And Dubai is just that, with so many launches going on, so many new things happening. We don't have the same in Qatar. Again, it's just a different market. It's a more steady market, it's more selective, and it's an interesting place. So it's 3 practical investor routes. On the income side, Qatar's prime apartments, or in Dubai, the JVC, depending on how much liquidity the investor wants, great place to buy. If you're looking for growth, again, I'll probably really focus on Dubai moving forward. And for residency and diversification, really Dubai or Qatar both offer excellent opportunities for people to invest in, for people to do things with, to make things happen. Okay, so if you want to just go back to the main slide again, what I'll do is I'll just kind of wrap up from my side, then I'll really open things up properly now for questions. So what I would suggest, if anyone would like to discuss the market further, I'm happy to discuss, continue the conversation. I would really look at, again, kind of the key points is for the market is, again, it has one of the lowest, I'd say one of the highest sovereign ratings, the lowest sovereign risk globally. The fundamentals of Qatar are extremely strong. If you're looking to invest long-term and or looking for a place to live, that's great for your family, it's very safe, a great structure. I'd really ask everyone to consider Qatar. It's been my home for the last 20 years, and I would encourage others to look at it as well. Okay, and then for that, I will open up questions to the floor. If you want to do it through chat, or if people want to unmute and ask a question, feel free to do so. Okay, everyone, just want to check one more time if there's any questions at all from the floor or from the people on others. I know there's apparently streaming on other services. So if there's any questions that people want to relate across, if someone could put it into the chat, I'm happy to respond. We're happy to help. If there's no questions, I'll step off. But just wanted to check if there's any questions at all from anyone.
Okay, please. Good evening, everybody. Mr. Jeffrey, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So, is there any question? Do we have any question, please? Maybe in the next 2-3 minutes, if there's no question, we'll now go to the next facilitator. So please, if there's any question, indicate in the charts. So Mr. Jeffrey, let's just give them a minute.
Sure, I'm here. I'm here with you. Don't worry.
Okay, sir.
I got nowhere to go. Well, actually, I do, but not for a while.
Okay, thank you for your time. Thanks. Okay. I think there is no question.
All right.
Yes,
So
Mr.
what I'm going to do is I'll just stay. Uh, I'm going to stay in and listen to the next speaker when they come on. So I'll be around. So in case anything pops up, you can just give me a shout and I can come back on if you need me.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Jeffrey.
My pleasure. So I'll turn my video off, but I'll mute myself, but I'll be around.
Okay, thank you very much.
Pleasure. Pleasure.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. So the media, let's go to the property showcase while we wait for the next speaker, please.
Yes, thank you everyone. I hope you all had a very insightful session with our last speaker. Let's give our last speaker another round of applause because that was so insightful. I'm sure a lot of us don't even have an idea about the Qatar market. We just hear about Qatar, and that was so insightful. Let me see your emojis. Please, let's give our Let's our last speaker that just left. Let's give him another round of applause. Yeah, Temidire, thank you. So as we continue with the summit, our next speaker is someone who is passionate about real estate and committed to helping people. See, this person, he understands how to make smarter property decision, and he brings in valuable insight and practical knowledge that will help you navigate the real estate space more confidently. Please join me as we welcome Agunani Cosmos to the summit to share his thoughts and his expertise with us. You're welcome, sir. Let's celebrate him as he comes up. Thank you very much, sir. We are super excited to have you here in our summit. Thank you so much, sir. You're welcome, sir. I can see people's emojis. So let's welcome our speaker, our next speaker, Mr. Agunani Cosmas. I'm not seeing people's emoji. Are we not happy to welcome our next speaker? All right. Thank you very much, sir. We are super excited to have you here, and we can't wait to learn and get more insight from you as regarding real estate. Thank you.
you.
You can have-
Thank you so much. Are we up and running? Hello? Can anyone hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, yes. I can hear you. You can ride on, sir. Thank you very much, sir. We are so excited to have you.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you, sir.
Okay. Thank you so very, very much for this wonderful opportunity. First and foremost, I would like to apologize to everyone listening. I don't have a slide for this particular session, and that's actually because actually sitting in for someone. So I was just informed a few days ago, and I had to just um, make quick preparations in this regard. So please, apologies for that, and permit me to continue without a slide. Is that okay by all? Is that okay? Is that okay? Hello? Okay, okay. I can get some response now.
Yes, sir.
So,
That's okay, sir. Thank you so much. I
all
really
right, before I proceed, I would want to appreciate Mr. Jeffrey, who just spoke. I also listened to Paul yesterday. Thank you very, very much for the wonderful insight into the real estate market in your respective countries and cities. Basically, what I'm here to do today is to counter everything that you all have said. You know, it's more like a debate. So I'm here to support the motion that Nigeria is the best place to invest in real estate. And I will give you some points to support that. I hope that's okay. Anyways, that's on the lighter note. Straight into why we are here today, the Nigerian real estate market and the opportunities that abound, and what investors and buyers would have to gain coming into this market. But before I begin, I'm going to say something, and this particular statement holds the key points to everything I'm going to say going forward. It will help us understand the other things I will say. So first and foremost, we all know Nigeria is a third world country, right? With a population of over 220 million people and growing. And we also have a housing deficit of between 23 to 28 million units and an inflation rate that is currently at 15.10% as at January 2026, as recorded by the National Bureau of Statistics. So now, what is the essence for all these statements or figures that I have given you? This brings us to the opportunities in the Nigerian real estate market. Yes, the opportunities that abound in the Nigerian real estate market. Number one, mid-markets and affordable housing. Now, let me break this down a bit so that we can be able to understand it. It is said that currently in Nigeria, we just have the poor and the rich. There's no mid-level. But that is not entirely true. Yes, that is not entirely true because there's always a mid-level, however you want to look at it. Because there are certain persons who are earning from the government stipulated payment plan and above. So they can be considered as mid-level in this kind of discourse. So mid-level and affordable housing. We have a lot of housing deficits, just like I mentioned, between 23 to 28 million units. So as an investor, if you come into the country and decide to invest in the mid-market and affordable housing, you have a lot of opportunities and customer base waiting for you that you can reap benefits from. That's one of the things we are offering you here in this part of the world. Number two is infrastructural linked development. As a third world country, we are constantly growing and developing. There are a lot of development going on. I'm going to use Lagos State as a point of reference in most of the discourse here because I live and I reside in Lagos State. Okay, so that's going to form the basis for most of the things I'm going to say here. So we're looking at infrastructure linked developments. How does this bring opportunities in the real estate market in Nigeria? So let's take, for example, an area in Lagos called Ibejuleki. You can check that out, Ibeju, and then Lekki, Lekki. Ibejuleki. This location has the popular Dangote refinery. It has a deep sea port and also an international airport that would start construction very soon in this axis. In fact, it is the only local government in Nigeria that has a refinery, a deep sea port, and an international airport. Now, this is just one aspect. And then you should also know that infrastructure such as this has big and very high impact in the real estate market. Because with this kind of infrastructures, it means that economic activities within this axis would skyrocket. This would be a good location for commercial real estate. Yes, commercial real estate as well as residential. In fact, Lagos State is estimated to receive an influx of persons of about 6,000 persons per day into the state. Now, for this particular location, Ibejuleki, most of the persons who are going to live in this axis are not in Lagos yet. So imagine as an investor, you are positioning yourself in this particular axis to become the landlords of those who are going to come or own commercial plots to either resell to those who are going to live in this axis in the future. So these are the opportunities that abound here in the Lagos real estate market. Another one is sustainable and eco-friendly properties. Yes, currently we're experiencing a rise in eco-friendly properties in Nigeria, and this is very, very wonderful because it is supporting the ecosystem as well as helping protect the ozone layers. So we have estates now with less generator noise and more solar systems in place. Okay, so investing in eco-friendly properties right now in Nigeria, Lagos to be precise, will ensure that in the next 12 months, your return on investment for properties, especially when you flip, would be at least 50% ROI in the next 12 months. That is on sustainable and eco-friendly properties. Another aspect is urban expansion. Now, still on the Bejuleki, just after this particular axis, we have another axis called Ekpe. Now, Ekpe is undergoing an urban expansion because he also houses the Lagos Film City as well as the Lagos Food Security and Logistics Hub. And it is designated for majorly residential, especially for those who are going to be working or doing business in the industrial dense Ibejuleki axis. So these are points of entry for investors who wants to invest in the Nigerian real estate and cash out in big time. The final aspect I'll be talking about on these key opportunities will be technologically integrated real estate. You know, in this part of the world, it is not yet a thing. But if you understand real estate very well, you would hear of prop tech. You know, the adoption of prop tech is growing rapidly, and with time, it will get to this part of the world. Now, imagine as an investor or as a real estate enthusiast, you become the first person to initiate this idea here in Nigeria. So, these are some of the opportunities that you have with the real estate space here in Nigeria. Now, I'll move quickly to the benefit of investing in real estate in Nigeria. One of that major benefit is appreciation in property value. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we have a population of over 220 million people with a housing deficit of about 28 million. So it means that the demand is way above what we have. The demand is so high. In fact, in the last 12 months, rental value have increased in some choice location over 100%. Yes, you can fact check this. Rental value have increased in some choice location over 100%. I'm sure if you follow trends online, there was this current trend online regarding a store that is as small as a cubicle somewhere in Lekki, going for over 50 million naira. That was something that was around 19 or 18 million naira as the person speculated in that video. Now, you see what I mean by and having an over 100% return on investment in 12 months, or sorry, property increase in 12 months. So property value, because Nigeria is still a growing nation with a lot of housing deficits and rapid population increase, demand will always be high, at least for the next 50 years. So property value will continue to rise, will continue to increase. Another benefit is rental income, Airbnb, shortlet, outright rentals. I already mentioned a bit of that. In some choice location in Lagos, for example, it goes as high as 150,000 naira per night on a 2-bedroom apartment for shortlets or Airbnb. Now imagine you own multiple properties in these locations for the purpose of shortlets and Airbnb. Now you see that constantly you get and enjoy cash flow because demand is always rising. Another thing is investing in real estate here in Nigeria helps you to hedge against inflation. Remember I mentioned earlier that we have an inflation rate currently at 15.10%. So this is one of the ways to hedge against inflation and also keep your money to a large extent tax-free. Because here in Nigeria, if you own land, you're not taxed for it. Yes. So these are one of the benefits of investing in real estate here. So imagine owning, say, 1,000 acre, 5,000 acre, 10,000 acre of bare land, and you do not pay any taxes for them. You do not even have to do so much work. Your land is there, it's appreciating in value as the day goes by, right? It keeps appreciating in value. You're not doing so much. You're just waiting for the right time to either sell or develop. Another thing is the opportunity, or another benefit here is the opportunity to be able to diversify. Yes, diversification in the sense that we have multiple entries into the real estate market here. We have sites and services, we have commercial real estate, we have the real estate investment trust, which we localized here to refer to as real estate cashback, right? This different diversification can help you, can aid you in the reduction of real estate investment risk. Okay? Finally, on the benefits, high demand due to population and urbanization drive. For a state like Lagos, and the number of persons that comes into this state on a daily basis, the demand continues to rise. As such, the government continues to open up new urban areas. Okay? The government continues to open up new urban areas. And as these areas begin to open up, development begins to come gradually. Developments like the creation of new road and access network, banks, utilities, and the rest of them. All these will certainly impact on the value of real estate in this location. So it makes real estate investing very, very lucrative in this part of the world. Now, I've mentioned some benefits, I've mentioned opportunities, but the truth of the matter is, all these are wonderful, okay? But then again, they come with some little risk, which is also obtainable anywhere in the world. And I'm going to just highlight about 2 or 3 of the risks that has to do with investing in real estate here in Nigeria. One has to do with title and ownership. Yes, title and ownership is actually a very, very serious issue here in the Nigerian real estate market, because we're still developing. So data collation has not been at its finest, if I'm going to be very honest with you, right? Data collation has not been has not been at its finest here, right? So a lot of houses, a lot of lands are still within the fold of either the community or a particular family. Even though by our land use act here in Nigeria, every land belongs to the government. Okay, but then the government comes, do what we call excision, take out the parts that they need for public development and utilities, and then excise the remaining portion back to the native dwellers of that particular location. And so those persons now have the right to sell these lands or real estate to intending buyers and investors. But some of the issues that arise here has to do with title some of the time, as well as ownership. Ownership in the sense that you have multiple persons that has claim to a particular piece of land. And so to ensure that that particular aspect is properly taken care of, all these persons have to be signatory to your deed. So in the event that maybe one or two persons are not signatory to your deed, there is a high chance that in the nearest future, those persons can come up to say, we were not aware that the family sold this land to you, and it becomes an issue. Do you understand? Sometimes greed can also play a very tricky role here, in the sense that even if everyone is involved and everybody has put down their signature, they could actually sell to multiple persons, just to take money from them, or even go ahead to sell within the portions that has been taken by the government, the committed portions. So one of the ways to ensure that you do not fall for this kind of issues is to ensure that proper due diligence is carried out. Proper due diligence with the necessary government agencies. For here in Nigeria, we have the Ministry of Lands. We have the Office of the Surveyor General of every state, as well as of the Federation. We also have, for Lagos, for example, we have the Lagos State Building Control Agency and the Lagos State Physical Planning Authority. These are some of the agencies that could help you with proper due diligence to ascertain the title claim on a particular land, as well as the root ownership of that land. If you want to invest in lands, this is one of the ways to ensure that you do not fall into the issue that arises from title deeds and ownership. Another is market volatility and economic factors. Yes. Here we have a very fragile economic policy, a very fragile economic policy. And then sometimes we do not enjoy continuity in government. So that can somehow impact negatively in real estate investment within these corridors. But one of the ways you can, stay afloat and ensure that you do not fall into this kind of risk or mitigate the risk is to ensure that you invest in areas that are properly planned out by the government. Yes, areas that the plan has been drafted out by the government, and the government have decided that this location is for a particular purpose, because we have locations for commercial real estate, we have locations for mixed development, we have locations for residential real estate, we have locations for agro real estate. In fact, I forgot to mention that in some of the opportunities that abound here. Agro real estate is actually rising in Nigeria at the moment. Yes, agro real estate is becoming a thing. So this is one of the entry points into the real estate business in Nigeria, agro real estate. most people are now leaving site and services, commercial developments, and going into agro real estate because that's where the money is going. And the government currently is supporting agriculture in the country to ensure food security and self-reliance. So agro real estate is one of the aspects you have to look into. And most of the focus is on palm plantations, right? That is because before the advent of oil, Nigeria was a superpower when it comes to agriculture, and palm was one of that. We export, we produce here, and we also export. In fact, study shows that Malaysia took their palm seedlings and the palm they have today from Nigeria. So agro real estate is another opportunity to come into the real estate market in Nigeria. Now, finally, on the risks, we have infrastructure and security challenges. This is very important, infrastructure and security challenges. At some point, or in recent time, because there are some areas that were developed without proper urban planning. Successive governments have come to power and they want to, develop those axes or those areas further to be able to, fit into the overall town planning for that particular corridor or axis. Let me cite an example. I'm using the Lekki-Epe corridor as an example. Currently, the Lagos State government wants to do the Green Line rail from Marina. If you know this axis, Marina is an area in Lagos, from Marina down to Epe to East Transportation. Now, this is going to certainly affect some of the already existing real estate infrastructure within that corridor, because from Marina to Epe is quite a distance. It's going to affect some of the real estate investment in that corridor. And this is as a result of the fact that, as at the time those developments happened, the government had no plan for some of this infrastructure to come into play. But because of rising population and urbanization, the demand to further create infrastructures that will help ease movement, reduce traffic flow, and aid transportation of both persons and goods from one point in Lagos to another. Remember, I mentioned earlier that Epe is cited as a choice location for residential purposes, as well as Ibejuleki, which has very huge commercial, value to offer investors in the real estate space. So from Marina to Epe, we have the Green Line rail coming. And the government has also given right of way to this person occupying properties on the particular corridor or axis where this rail line is going to pass through. So it means that some of the buildings already existing in that axis will be demolished. So these are some of the risks that happens. But then they're not just demolished and the investors end up losing entirely. No, the government has also promised that they are going to compensate everyone within that particular corridor, so long as you are also up to date with your title and your land is properly documented with and gazetted with the government. Another massive infrastructure going through this corridor is the 132 kV power project and gas pipeline. This is coming from Aja to Ibejuleki, and the pipeline coming from Boni Camp down to Alaro City. Now, as much as these are infrastructural, this infrastructure poses a risk to already existing real estate structures within this corridor, it's also a new opportunity for real estate investors to come in this particular axis. Now, another thing, or finally on the risk, is liquidity issue. Yes, liquidity issue. Understanding the Nigerian real estate market will help you also avoid liquidity issues properly. And then how do you do this? You invest in locations or areas with high demand for rental properties. So that way you tend to enjoy frequent cash flow, and you can easily flip if you want. There are certain locations you're going to invest in, you would have to just hold over a period of time. So you can decide if you want to come in for the long term, for the mid term, and for the short term. Short term, say 1, 2, 3 years, you're done. Mid term, 5, 7, 8 years, and then the long term, 12, 13, 14, 15, 20 years. There are locations like that in Nigeria, and we offer these different opportunities for you to come in and invest. Generally, in all, Nigerian offers you the best opportunity to invest in real estate and cash out big time. I'm telling you this for a fact because I live in Nigeria and I understand how the market works here. Like I said in the beginning, we have a growing population of over 200 million people and rising. We have a housing deficit of over 28 million units and an inflation rate of 15.10%. These factors will certainly boost real estate investment. Demand for housing is very high. Very, very high. Demand for housing is very high in this part of the world. Very, very high. So imagine you are that person who builds the houses that will help mitigate the housing deficit that we already have. Now imagine how much that can make you. Now imagine within the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway corridor, this is actually a coastal highway coming from Lagos to Calabar, going through 7 states in the country. Now imagine within this corridor, you own commercial real estate, not just real estate that people will live in, real estate that will house their daily needs or that will house what they will use daily. You own commercial real estate for malls, banks, warehouses, restaurants, name them, within the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. Now you see what that has to offer you when you invest in Nigeria. So I want to hope that with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you that Nigeria, at the moment, with its growing population and its current housing deficit rate, is the best place for you to invest in real estate and cash out big time. My name is Aguna Nekosmas, and I'm a real estate consultant based in Lagos. I ensure that Nigerians, home and in the diaspora, make the right real estate investment decision any day, anytime. My major duty is to make assurance doubly sure for you if you want to invest in real estate in Nigeria. I help you with your due diligence to ensure that you do not fall for any kind of scam or get into any form of issues in the near future. This is what I've been doing for the past 8 years, since June 2028, when I came into the real estate market or the real estate space in this country, my country, Nigeria. So that's all I have for you tonight, and I hope you're able to learn and pick 1 or 2 things that will also help you make the right investment decision. So if you have any questions, I'll be more than willing to answer your questions. I'll be here for a while to hear you ask your questions, and then I'll be able to answer. Over to you, Mr. Moderator, Tochukwu.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kosi. Thank you very much. And please, if we have any question, we can drop that on the comment section. And then, Mr. Kosi, I have a question, even though I'm the co-moderator. Um, what what are the benefits for foreign investors? What do they stand to gain if, let me use Mr. Jeffrey as a case study? What
Okay.
will Mr. Jeffrey stand to gain if he decide to invest in Nigeria?
Please, can you take that again?
I said, in general, what will the foreign investors stand to gain if they decide to invest in Nigeria?
Okay. Um, I've made mentions of some of these earlier, but let me just recap on them. Okay, as a foreign investor, first, understanding the aspect of the market you want to invest in is very, very important. You know, you have to decide if you want to do sites and services, you want to do commercial real estate, you just want to build and resell, whatever the case may be, or you want to do the real estate investment trust. You need to understand these particular aspects before parting with your funds to invest in real estate here in Nigeria. But one thing is certain, with an understanding of what you want to do, you know, and doing it rightly. By doing it rightly, I mean ensuring that you buy or you invest rightly, ensuring that the title, claims, the deeds, and everything are properly verified, ensuring that you also understand the needs of the Nigerian real estate market. You are certainly going to, one, benefit from the high demand the market here offers you, which in turn means constant and rapid appreciation in your property value, which also gives you more money in your bank account. Yes, for Nigeria, rental spaces, like I said, shortlets and Airbnb are also on the rise. So this can help you ensure cash flow. Imagine you have, say, two-bedroom apartments in, say, about 10 choice locations within Lagos, all for Airbnb. And then you have, say, a minimum of 20 nights taken in a month. You know what, at 150,000 naira per night, that's practically 3 million naira monthly. Now, do the maths for 12 months, excluding utilities and other management overhead costs. So these are some of the benefits foreign investors are going to enjoy if they choose to invest in real estate in Nigeria. In fact, because this is a global summit, I'm using this opportunity to call on foreign investors to come invest in real estate in Nigeria and see how dynamic our system are here. I'm sure Mr. Jeffrey, Mr. Paul would be willing to come invest, or I'm looking forward to having them come invest here in Nigeria. So because the benefits are so numerous here in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kosi. So, do we have any other question? Mr. Kosi, you can check the chat. Do we have any question? Let me check. Do we have? Okay. Yeah, so any other question? Please, you can type your question because and the person that want to speak, we can hear you properly. We can't hear you properly. You can type your question.
Is someone speaking? Is someone speaking?
I think I've told the person to type his question. So let's just give him a minute and we call it a day.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to us doing this again.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kosi.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffrey. Is Mr. Jeffrey still online?
Yes, I
Yes.
think he is. I think I can still see him.
Hello, Mr. Jeffrey, can you hear me? Okay, I don't think he's still online, but I believe he can hear us. So thank you, Mr. Kosi. Thank you, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, and officially we come to the end of the Borderless Global Summit 2026. So thank you, everybody. And the slide, even our last speaker, the slide will be sent to the participants. Send your emails for the last speaker. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you all.
Thank you.